Thank you so much for tuning into this video. My name is Renee. I make videos related to immigration and immigrant lifestyle in Canada. If this information interests you, please stick around and consider to subscribe. Hello, in this video, I am gonna discuss about the express entry. Or the express entry is the biggest Canada immigration process that a lot of immigrants from all over the world use to move to Canada. And that is the system that a majority of immigrants apply to in order to get permanent residence in Canada or eventually become Canadian citizens. So, in this video, I am gonna explain to you all you need to know about the express entry. If this is something that interests you, stick around and let's dive right into it. So, what is express entry? Express entry is an immigration process for immigrants from all over the world to move to Canada. It is specifically for skilled immigrants. Skilled immigrants are people who have at least an education background, either a bachelor's degree, a master's, PhD. The more, the better. A combination of certificates or experiences is good as well. When you have skilled credentials, they do help you further your way into the express entry. But also remember that Canada is a bilingual country, so English and French go hand in hand. If you have good experience in oral and written and speech in both languages, you stand a higher chance in the express entry. However, if you have demonstrated experience in use of either languages, you are pretty good. So how does the express entry work? What is the process? How do you submit your application? I'm gonna break down all that you need to know and how you need to submit your immigration application through the Canada Express Entry program. Step one, you want to check if you qualify to apply for Canada immigration through the express entry. That should be the number one thing that everybody does before you waste a lot of time. The Canada immigration website does a good thing. That is the first thing they put right up there. When you head onto the website, you are going to check right away if you qualify to apply through the express entry program. So what you're going to do there is click on immigration and express entry, and there is a link to the eligibility questions. These are a number of questions that you need to be honest with yourself, such as what is your nationality, your age, language, your family background, your education, your experience. You want to be as honest as you can, because at the end of the day, it's going to determine if you qualify to apply for Canada permanent residence through this particular system. And there are going to be questions on language eligibility test, the IELTS, and so you want to make sure that you have done your international English language test within the given period of time. It has to be a maximum of 2 years since you got your results. And if you are eligible to proceed further, you're gonna get a reference number. That is literally like your name. You're gonna have to have it on you all the time. So you want to keep it and save it. You're going to need it when you get further into the application process. So step two is gathering all the necessary documents, such as your passport, language test results that we just talked about, your education assessment credentials, especially if you achieved your education outside Canada. If you know the province you want to immigrate to, then get a provincial nomination. Canada has so many provinces and territories. Alberta, BC, Ontario, Nova Scotia, PEI, Prince Edward Island, so on and so forth. whichever province that you want to move to, you want to get a provincial nomination from that particular province. Say, for example, you want to move to Alberta. The oil sector is one of the biggest provincial nominee programs, so you want to apply through that particular program. If you want to move to the Atlantic Canada, you want to find a PNP in that particular province that can help you get a nomination. But if you have a job offer in any province or territory, whatever the field, as long as you have a job offer, that is a better option in the express entry. The other thing that they're going to ask you is for a police clearance in the country that you have been living for the last 5 years. If you've been living in Canada for the last 5 years, then easy peasy. You're just gonna go to the police in your neighborhood and get this done very easily. However, if you have been living outside Canada or if you live in any country elsewhere, then you're gonna need a police clearance from that country. The Interpol, in most countries, that's what it's called. So you're going to look out for that. The other thing they're going to ask you to do is do a medical exam. If you want to move to Canada at any point in time, especially as a permanent resident, you're going to need to go to a specialized clinic or hospital or visit a specialized medical officer that has been approved by the immigration program and get your medicals done from that person. So you need to submit those results as well. And step 2 is your proof of funds. You want to prove that you have the required specific amount of funds that will enable you to immigrate to Canada. All right, so moving on to step 3. Submitting your profile. After you put together all that information, all you need to do is submit. In order for you to get all these documents together, give yourself a lot of time. Step number 4 is the comprehensive ranking score. It depends on what information you have provided. The maximum score in the express entry is 1,200 points. So the higher the points you get, the better. Step number 5 is invitation to apply for Canada permanent resident. This may depend on the cutoff points. What the immigration officers determine as the cutoff points is what they will go by. It varies. And when you make it to that cutoff point, the immigration officers will send you an invitation to apply for permanent residence. As the applicant, you need to often check the Canada immigration website to know what is the cutoff point or if they have granted you permission to apply for permanent residence. So once you qualify to apply for permanent residence, step 6, you need to submit all your documents or your application within 2 months or 60 days. One thing to note is that the Canada PR or permanent residence process takes a good 6 months. When you want to move to Canada, you need to give yourself time. And within this time, you're going to be asked to do your biometrics. And the biometrics are your fingerprints. Usually, Canada has places literally in every country where you are sent to get your fingerprints, which is the biometrics. That could be either at a consulate or whatever the embassies. And step number 8 is you getting your permanent residence in Canada. You can apply for this process while living outside Canada or in Canada. When everything goes well, they will send you your permanent residence card. Even if you don't have the permanent residence card physically, they will communicate to you and let you know that you have been granted permanent residence and the steps that you have to do next in order for you to get your physical permanent residence card. Once approved of permanent residence in Canada, the last step is landing in Canada. So that is you coming into Canada for the first time as a permanent resident. You coming into the Canadian borders, that is what is called landing, and you are officially a Canadian permanent resident. There are two scenarios. Number one, if you're in Canada, it's very easy. You can make an appointment to your Service Canada centers and present yourself as a way of you landing in Canada. So it's like you are coming into Canada for the first time as a permanent resident. Or you could go to the closest landing center, such as an airport that has a border from Canada. And of course, when you live in Canada, the only borders that we have, or the next country that we have next to us, is the United States. So you can go to any Canada US border and come through the Canadian airport, and right there you act like you are landing from a different country. Or if you live outside Canada, and they will give you a Canada immigration visa that will be stamped in your passport, which gives you guarantee to travel to Canada. And when you travel to Canada and enter into any airport, that is your way of landing in Canada as a permanent resident. But please remember that this visa has an expiry date. They want you to respect and respond or fly to Canada within that specified period of time. So keep that in mind. That is it really about the express entry immigration procedure. If you ever want to move to Canada, it's very precise, very clear, and I guarantee you, you can do it by yourself. You don't need nobody to help you through this process. All the information is out there, and you just have to put in the time and put your paperwork together, and you can do this all by yourself. And with that, I hope that you have got to understand what the Express Entry program is, and I hope that this video has been super helpful to you. If that is it, give it a thumbs up, and I will be talking to you again in my next video. And bye for now.